Hey everyone, thanks for being here. So let's talk about how to solve every single UX problem we have in the next 20 minutes, right? So universal logins is a very long word, but I think I'm going to start with what should be a very simple question, which is, where does your onboarding start? I mean, what does it mean? Where does your app start? Where do your users come from, right? Because it should be like you think it's your website, right? They're coming through your website. But I mean, how did they arrive at your website? Maybe an app store, maybe a decentralized app store, maybe literally the iPhone app store, that's how they got it. But I mean, do they need MetaMask? Because if they need MetaMask, then sort of MetaMask is your onboarding process, right? They need to go through the onboarding process of MetaMask. Do they need Ether? They do. So maybe your onboarding is Coinbase. Maybe that means that Coinbase is the entrance to our ecosystem, which is sort of crazy, right? We want to do we care about decentralization, we talk about decentralization, and suddenly the way people get into the ecosystem is by taking a picture of their passport and waiting for 3 days for verification. That's the entrance. That's crazy. Or maybe, why would they even be buying Ether if they don't know about it? So maybe your homepage is Ethereum.org. Or maybe not. Maybe it's like people are coming from Wikipedia are learning about blockchains, right? They're going to Wikipedia and they go to Ethereum.org, then to Coinbase, then to MetaMask, then to the App Store. So when we ask ourselves, where are the users, right? By our calculations, there should be lots of users. It's sort of like the crypto Fermi paradox, where there are intelligent users out there, but they just disappear. That's the sort of the Drake equation. Because you lose people on the Wikipedia page, then they go to Ethereum.org, then Coinbase, then MetaMask. By the time they get to buy a CryptoKitty, it's too late. It's been 2 months already that they forgot. So here's the thing. Users don't care about Ether. They don't care about backing up private seeds or privates, especially if they don't have any money, right? Why are you backing up a private key that has no money on it? They don't understand. Every secure application they ever use has a two-factor authentication. But Ethereum you don't have. Actually, one of the classic my Ether wallet scams were asking people to install a secondary factor. That's a scam. That's crazy. It's something that you are used to be something that that's the secure way. Suddenly it's a scam here. They are confused. Why users don't want the hack screens. They want simple usernames. They want to be able to pay with the credit card or the App Store credit. They don't want to download anything. And honestly, they own a lot of devices and they switch constantly between them. So how do you do on your app if your user has a desktop app and an iPhone app, right? So here's a bad solution. Have a new account with Ether on every device. That's a terrible idea, and I see a lot of projects doing that. If you download Toshi, they help you set up a new private key. Then you go on, you download Status, there's a new account you create. And then you install MetaMask, there's a new account, right? That's not a good way of, because if you lose one device, then you need to put Ether on one device, and then you you never use it, and then you want to use it on the other device, you need to make a transfer and spend money. That doesn't make sense. Here's a really bad solution. Let's just create a central login system where you log in with Facebook, right? That's not what you want. Here's a very, very, very bad solution. Just type your private key to log in on every app. That sounds like something that nobody would do, but I've seen people do it. Or even worse, if part of your onboarding thing is a seed phrase, you are asking your users to log in with your seed phrase, which is worse, because if you wrote down a seed phrase once, twice, by the third time you're not going to be writing it down. You're going to be using your MetaMask seed phrase on every new game you log in. And that is also a terrible idea, because suddenly you're giving access to all your money forever. Which leads us to the crazy crypto paradox, which is we tell users their key is important, right? So make many copies of it. Have every device you have should have a backup of it. But then, if you lose that key, you lose all your money. So don't make too many backups of it. Don't make too many copies. Don't put it on your email. Don't put it on the cloud. Don't upload it a screenshot somewhere. So there's just like this tiny line where you just need to make enough backups, but not too many. Can we do it better, right? I think we can. Let's go through like an example. Let's suppose you have like this new crypto app, which is super cool, and the only thing that it asks you is that, look, you can create a new Ethereum ID, or you can connect to an existing one if you don't have one. And you can just go there and type, look, I'm Bob. Actually, that's something that I wish other people would do. When you log into a site, they ask you if you want to log in or sign up, and then you say, I want to log in. And you put your username, you put your email, and they say, oh no, you can't, I mean, there's no user, you need to create a user. And then you need to create a user, and then they'll tell you, oh no, that password already exists, but you forgot your password. I mean, I can tell you already from your username if that exists or not. So if you type me a username that exists, I'm just going to tell you that, look, you're going to connect you're trying to connect with an existing ID. But I don't want to do that. I actually want to create a new Ethereum ID. And you can see that it detects that and tells you, okay, what you're going to do now is that you're going to create a new Ethereum ID. That's just a normal browser. I don't have like MetaMask on it. So what does it do? When I do create, I click there, and I wait a few minutes, and it creates my little Ethereum ID with a new username. And it gives me a token. I mean, those tokens are not very important, but that's optional but I think it's going to be important. Why am I giving them tokens? Because like, it's my app. I create those tokens. I have like billions of those tokens. It's a lot easier for my app to give away tokens than to give away Ether. Also, because they are my tokens, I can create some limitations on what the user can do or not. And if I just gave them Ether, they could just sell it directly, right? So I start using the app, and that's it, right? I can, let's say it's a sort of Twitter app. I click something, I type something, I want to post, and it just tells me, hey, it's going to cost you like half a token or something like that. Notice that's an internal confirmation. That's not like a MetaMask confirmation. That's just like a normal alert. And we could even skip that. You could even just click there, click post, and it would post, right? It's interesting, but what happens if, okay, you already have you just created your little Bobby ID, but now you are downloading a new app, you got tired of this one, you're downloading a new awesome app on your iPhone. And it's a different app from a different vendor. And it asks you something like, do you already have an Ethereum ID? Of course, you could do it like in a nicer way, but let's just click yes. You click yes, and you just type your Ethereum ID. Look, I am Bobby at Universal ID. I click connect. I send a request. Where did they send the request to? Right here, or app. Like, there you go. There's a little request. Do you accept that Bobby add you there? Right? Yeah, sure, right? So that could be a way in which every single Ethereum app could run, right? We don't need a new hard fork. We don't need any, it could be done today. But how does it work, right? Did you miss something here? Like, there's no mention of Ether. There are no hex strings. I didn't ask at any point to type a password even. There are no QR codes. And I mean, the user just created a two-factor multi-sig self-sovereign smart contract control identity. And I mean, he didn't even notice it. I tricked him into creating a smart contract without him knowing that he had one. How are we doing that? The point behind the scenes is that we are using context-specific Etherless accounts. I'm using signed messages instead of transactions. I'm using what I call gas relay abstraction. Identity contracts, ENS usernames, and it's a standard across devices. What do they mean? I'm going to go with specifics. Content-specific Etherless accounts simply means that you create a private key, a private public key pair on each device, on each app on each device, and that key never leaves your device. You don't make any backups of it. You don't allow it to export. You just keep that key there, and you never keep any funds on those keys. You only use those keys to sign messages asking things to be done in behalf of them. And what you do then is that we have an identity contract, an ERC-725 identity, which is able to read those messages and execute based on them, basically saying, look, yeah, this is an authorized Ethereum account, let's do that. And that is the contract which will hold all the funds. And since it can hold things, it can be also hold the property of an ENS subdomain. If you don't know, ENS allows you to make as many subdomains as you want. So you can have a contract that is identified by an ENS username. And how exactly does it work without having Ether? Who's paying for the transaction? That's an interesting bit, because those accounts don't have any Ether. They sign messages and give it to what I'm calling a relayer, which can be any computer that has Ether. And that computer is the one that deploys it to the blockchain. And now the nice thing is that because it's a smart contract, that smart contract can count how much gas you spent and can pay you back, pay the deployer back. So it can pay either in Ether, so it sort of refunds the amount of Ether they paid, or even in tokens. So that means that I can tell a relayer that I'm going to pay my transaction in DAI, or status tokens, or GNO, right? You can pay your, as long as the relayer accepts it, you can pay your transaction in any token you want, which means that you don't even need to have Ether on that identity. And there are a few interesting things, because how do account permission work? The identity, ERC identity thing already comes with 3 basic permission things, which is permission levels, which is management, which can make calls to itself and to others, meaning it can upgrade itself, it can add new accounts, things like that. There's an action which cannot make calls to itself, but can make calls to others, and there's an encryption which can make you cannot make any calls, you just use it to, let's say, you're running a chat app, you're just signing messages, you just want proof you're yourself. But you could expand that, and you could expand it and make permission by contract, which means that every time you add a new account, you could tell them, look, this is a contract that tells you which types of transactions are valid for this account. Maybe that particular account can only interact with CryptoKitties. Maybe it can only make 1 call per month. Maybe it connects to an exchange and knows that you can only spend like up to $100 per day, and if you want to spend more, you need like multiple signatures or something like that, right? And the nice thing is that it's a multi-sig, right? So in the example I gave you, you had a key on your desktop and a key on your phone, which means that if you lose either of those, you can recover with a third. You can keep adding. Well, what happens if you lose your laptop and your phone at the same time, or maybe you just don't have any device? Again, because it's a contract, we can create all sorts of new ways of doing things, and you can have recovery options. I know that like Naz is Safe is doing a lot of recovery options where if you stay idle, it can recover. Status is doing interesting work where if you have like 5 trusted friends that are kept in secret, at some point they can recover. You can do a lot of things, but that's a nice thing. It's up to the user and to the contract to allow different recovery options that are more user-friendly. What are the drawbacks of this scheme, right? First of all, creating initial account has a cost. There are ways in which you can go around that. The first one, you can maybe create many accounts and let them unset accounts when gas is very cheap. And then when the user wants to sign up for something, you just get an empty account and just give it, reconfigure to give it to him. Another way, and I think Status Safe is doing, is that there's a trick in which you can already send funds to a contract that hasn't deployed yet, right? You can already send funds to you can already know an address for a contract, and then you can send funds to that thing, and then you can do it in a way that only after you send funds, then you can deploy the contract. So what does it mean, like in total? It means that we have more security. Every device, every wallet you install is a new security factor. And it can count as like for games also. Maybe CryptoKitty could be a second factor for Toshi, which is a third factor for your Dutch Action app. And everything, if every one of them is using the same standards, every time you use a new app, you're adding security. You're not removing security, which is super interesting. And apps can distribute usernames that can be used in other apps. I've used one ENS name there, but every app could have its own ENS and give it away to people. So it could be literally like some people are Hotmail users, some people are Gmail users, and things like that. It works sort of like an email system where anyone can provide you an email. And we have more flexibility. Users don't need Ether to run their transactions. Apps can do any business model, right? Because now, since we have this transaction relay thing, it means that they can be paid in their own tokens. They can give out tokens to people, or maybe they can accept transactions for free as long as you are in a whitelisted paid customer accounts, anything like that, because we are adding more flexibility to the business model because we are removing whoever is paying for the others. And actually relaying can be a nice way of desktop mining, because if you're online, if you have Ether, that could, you could just be taking people who are signing messages and paying them, and you could be earning DAI or earning tokens. So where are we? First of all, I have two ERCs, EAPs that define this. The first one is just about how we do like the executable assigned transactions thing, and the other is a more general where we add identities, we add ENS, and we make this universal login idea. I'm not inventing anything, right? There are a long list of people we'd like to thank to, because I'm just paving cow paths, right? I was just looking at what a lot of projects were doing with sign identities and trying to cross-pollinate them and make everyone come together in the same roof for a standard that will make everyone better. And so I am trying to put people together, to arrange grants, to put developers, and to actually make a proof of concept of this, so that in the future it could be something as easy as a truffle box, where you click, you run, and here you go, like all the UX problems of your apps were solved, and you need only to focus on the app itself. So those links, you can read about the EAPs, there's Ethereum Magician forums, and you can contact me at AVSA. Thank you for being here.